Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something huge. How do we teach an AI to make the right call when there isn't one clear, easy answer? We're going to look at a new idea, a framework that works sort of like an ethical dashboard for artificial intelligence. Okay, to really get this, let's jump right into a scenario. Picture this. A home care robot is helping your grandma, but she's refusing to take her medication she absolutely needs. So what does the robot do? Should it respect her choice, her autonomy, or should it override her wishes to stop a medical crisis before it starts? This isn't science fiction anymore. This is the kind of tough spot AI is starting to find itself in. And for an AI, a machine that thinks in code, this really is an almost impossible choice. I mean, look at the conflict here. The robot is stuck between two fundamental rules. On one side, it has to respect patient autonomy. Your grandma's an adult, she has the right to say no. But on the other side, its main job is to prevent physical harm. And skipping her medication could be, well, a disaster. So which rule does it follow? This little story perfectly highlights the huge problem we have with AI ethics right now. You see, for a long time, we've had two main ways of trying to teach machines to be ethical. The first is what you'd call a top-down approach. You give it a set of hard black and white rules, like always prevent harm. But as we just saw with Grandma, real life is way more complicated than that. The other way is bottom-up. You just feed the AI tons and tons of data and hope it learns our values. The trouble is, it can learn our biases too. And its decision-making becomes this mysterious black box that even its creators can't fully understand. And that really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? Morality is fuzzy. It's not a true or false question. It operates in shades of gray, and it all depends on the context. And that's something that's just incredibly hard for a computer, which thinks in ones and zeros, to wrap its head around. So if the old ways don't work, how do we build an AI that can actually navigate all this fuzziness? Well, some researchers have proposed a really interesting solution, something they're calling an ethical dashboard. This dashboard is basically built using three main ingredients. First, something called fuzzy logic, which is designed specifically to handle vague ideas. Second, it brings in expert judgment to help set priorities. And third, it uses what are called certainty factors, which is just a way of measuring how confident we are in the information the AI is getting. Okay, so that all sounds pretty cool, but let's break down how this dashboard is actually put together. The first piece of the puzzle is fuzzy logic. Now, most computers see the world in very binary terms. Things are either on or off, hot or cold. But fuzzy logic lets an AI understand the stuff in between. It can grasp concepts like kinda warm or a little bit chilly. It basically gives the machine a way to see the world in shades of gray, much like we do. Next, you bring in the humans. This is key. A group of experts, doctors, ethicists, engineers, they all weigh in. They decide how important different risks are in a specific situation. So for our grandma, is preventing harm more important than respecting her autonomy? They also rate how confident they are in the data itself, like, is the robot's blood pressure reading super accurate or is it a bit questionable? Then, you take all of these pieces, the size of the risk that you get from the fuzzy logic, the certainty factor about the data, and the importance weight from the experts, and you put them all together in a straightforward formula. And what you get at the end is one clear number, an ethical risk score. So, let's go back to our care robot and your grandma one last time. What did its final score actually look like? So, the system looked at three specific ethical risks. First, the risk of physical harm if she misses her meds. Second, the risk of violating her autonomy by being too pushy. And third, the risk of losing her trust if the robot just ignores what she wants. And the results? Well, they were incredibly clear. The ethical dashboard took all the data from the sensors and the input from the experts and crunched the numbers. And as you can see, the risks for trust loss and autonomy violation came out pretty low. But the score for physical harm? It was a massive 28.25. The dashboard gave a very clear, data-driven, and most importantly, traceable recommendation. The danger of physical harm was so much greater than the other concerns that there was really no contest. The robot's priority should be to prevent that harm. So the robot got a clear answer, which is great. But what does this all mean for the bigger picture? Well, that brings us to the most important point, making AI accountable. What makes this dashboard approach so powerful is what it means for building trustworthy AI. First, it can handle the messy, vague data of the real world. Second, it's transparent. You can actually look under the hood and see exactly why it made a decision. Third, it puts human values right at the center of its logic. And finally, And this is a big one. This kind of system fits perfectly with new regulations like the EU AI Act, which demand that AI systems be explainable. So this idea of an ethical dashboard gives us a real, structured way to handle these incredibly complex situations. And that leaves me with one last thought for you. What other tough human dilemmas will we need to start building dashboards for in the near future? Thanks for joining the Explainer.